Hi, I'm Stavros. Good morning and welcome. And today you join me behind the wheel of a 2018 DAF Xf with 460 horsepower. So some of you may have seen my previous video from Leyland Trucks in the UK where I had a tour around the factory. Now after that factory tour, we then had a tour of the British Commercial Vehicle Museum in the town of Leyland. So you're going to see plenty of classic and vintage trucks in this video, all British built vehicles. So yeah, I really enjoyed my tour of the museum. So I'll talk more about this truck after we have a tour around the museum. So yeah, let's go over now to me in the UK, guys. Let's go. So I've now made it to the British Commercial Vehicle Museum here in the town of Leyland. Let's go in and have a look. Look what we have outside. A really old MAN diesel parked there. Okay guys, let's go in. Plenty more to see inside here. Okay, we're now joined by Geoff Southworth. Now Geoff, you know everything about the museum here.
Well, I've been here 10 years now.
Right.
The museum's based on a timeline. We start at horse-drawn vehicles, steam, then we go through to petrol, and then later on to diesel, right through to the latest DAF hybrids and all electric. Yeah. So we have quite a comprehensive collection.
And Geoff, we are inside a factory that was built in 1936.
It was.
One of the original Leyland factories.
One of the original Leyland factories that went right through the town to where you've been this afternoon at the DAF production plant. Yes. When I started in '66, there were nearly 13,000 people worked here.
Wow.
So we made everything then.
So Geoff, what can you walk us through here to give people an idea of the history of Leyland?
The history of Leyland, well, it all starts with this vehicle here, which is a steam lawnmower.
A steam lawnmower?
A steam lawnmower. This was built in Leyland in 1896.
Right.
And it was built for the local gentry. And it expanded and expanded. They built quite a few of them. And then they moved on to steam wagons, which is down there, and then early petrol, and then so everything you see in the Leyland Empire started off with the steam lawnmower.
So that's where it all started.
That's where it all started. Yeah.
Okay, Geoff. Oh, you've got so many vehicles here.
We've got so many vehicles, incredible. Yeah, we have.
Look.
Yeah, of all makes, as long as it's British built, it's here. Yeah. So we don't concentrate on Leylands, but being a Leyland town, they are predominant. Yeah.
She's just ringing the bell there on the fire engine.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll continue on, Geoff.
Yeah. This is one of Leyland's earliest vehicles before, well, after steam. This is a Carter Patterson. They put their name on the front. This has done 1/3 of a million miles. This is 1907.
1907.
So, yeah.
Another piece of history.
An older piece of history.
And all these vehicles as well were built here in the UK, Geoff, yes?
They were all built in the UK, yeah.
Yeah. And what year are we going back to here, Geoff?
This one is First World War, that's 1916. That's a Thornycroft gun tractor. Right. It runs on paraffin, petrol start, TVOs they used to call it. Right. You know. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We were looking at plenty of tractors, of course, in Dublin's Punchestown for the FTMTA show, but this tractor, I can assure you guys, is a lot older than anything you saw from that video, but yeah, it's a great piece of history. Just look at all these.
This vehicle is what they call the ERF type. You can virtually say that this vehicle made Leyland. Unfortunately, it took a war to get Leyland going from a small-time manufacturer to a massive manufacturer. They made about 6,000 of those,
6,000?
which was virtually unheard of in 1914. It started off with 200 employees and finished up at the end of the war with 2,000 employees.
Wow!
These vehicles were all bought back by Leyland, refurbished and given a 2-year guarantee.
Right.
Which was a big gamble, and it paid off.
Yeah.
We started with a steam lawnmower, and then Leyland graduated to steam wagons.
Right.
This is a steam wagon, that's 1907. That was actually exported to New Zealand and brought back and refurbished. Leyland was one of the first major manufacturers to abandon steam and go on to petrol engines.
Right.
So we were one of the first manufacturers to go on to petrol engines.
And what have we got here, Geoff?
This is a Foden steam lorry. This is 1928. This was built when really steam had gone out of fashion, and we can't understand why. people bought these vehicles at that late time because the one next to it is the same year. Right. Why would you have steam? But they're very well built. Foden had a good reputation for steam, excellent reputation for steam. Yeah. So they kept on with steam.
So it's not just Leyland products here. You have
it's just not just Leyland products. It's anything that's built in Britain is on show here.
Brilliant.
This vehicle here is what they call a beard mower. This is unique. There's none left at all in the world.
Right. And Geoff, what value would you put on something like this?
Well,
this is just, as you say, completely unique.
It's a question of what people are prepared to pay.
Yeah.
They've all been refurbished and you never get your money back. It's done for the love of refurbishment, so you'd never ever get your money back.
And what year did you say this was, Geoff?
This one, I'd have to check. This is 1930s. This was made for the Mann Brewery in London, Watney Mann, and it had a red barrel on the roof. It wasn't always owned by Marks and Spencers.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's fascinating, all the history, Geoff. And then we move on to this little flatbed truck.
1930s, Vauxhall as they were called then, and then Bedford later on. American designed. When they were imported into Britain, they were called Chevrolet, and then when Vauxhall or Bedford started making them, they changed the name to a British name.
Right.
So yeah.
And then we have ERF Limited.
This is ERF, which is the initials of ER Foden. Now that is unique. That's the first of this vehicle's manufacture. That was manufactured in 1936. The company Foden split up through a family dispute. Because if you remember, I was on about Foden steam.
Right.
And that caused all the trouble because one brother wanted to carry on with steam, the other wanted to go with diesel, so they split up and went their own way. And so the name on the front of that is unique because the other brother told him to take Foden off, so it was shortened to ERF.
All right, okay. Look at it there, guys. Look, ERF, Foden and Son.
ERF, don't keep it. It's not ERF.
Yeah, that's a fascinating piece of history. Yeah. Now. And we move on to another Leyland, Geoff.
That's another Leyland Beaver. 1930s again, so you can see the difference. People were swapping to what they call forward control to the more conventional one. Originally that would have been petrol. Leyland was one of the last major manufacturers to go over diesel because other people were having problems and they thought they'd wait until they'd iron the problems out before they started. They'd got themselves a bad name. So that would originally have been petrol.
Yeah. And yet again another Leyland here.
That's 1930s again.
1930s.
Originally petrol again.
And petrol as well?
It was originally, and then it went to diesel.
Okay. And we have this little
simulator.
This is for the kids, is it?
This is for the simulator for the children to play in, yeah.
And then a bunch more. And Geoff, we have this Leyland Octopus.
That's right, Octopus, because it's 8 wheels. They're all named after, all the trucks and buses are named after animals. The bus is usually named after the cat family because it signifies speed. And the trucks were built named after others. Obviously this is Oxford.
And look at this small little model here of the Leyland.
Now this one, if you have a look here, this model was built for this advertisement, and when you look at the advertisement now, you'll see this model coming out of the sea. It's coming out now. This now is this truck here. So that is that.
All right.
That is that. That is that. That's the real one.
Right.
And at the end of the advert, that one goes back in the sea again.
All right. So they used this little model.
Yeah, rather than a real one, and
And Geoff, if you can just stand beside it, just to give people an idea of the scale. There you go, guys. So, that is how small it is. Huh? Wow, that's very unusual, isn't it?
It is.
Featured in the ad. So if any of you guys ever look up that old ad, this little truck was just a model coming out of the water.
It is.
Yeah, that's very unusual.
It is. So here we have the last ERF. We've seen the first one. This is the last one that was built in Cheshire.
Right.
There was a few more built in Germany after that. We'll go around. We have another ERF here. We'll go around and have a look at this Leyland Prototype that was built in about 1984.
And you have this old Seddon Atkinson?
We've got this old, well, it's just an Atkinson, not a Seddon Atkinson.
All right, sorry.
This is a Gardner engine which was a legend in their own right for longevity and reliability and everything. They were a good engine.
Yeah. And then this Foden here.
And then we've got the Foden here, which was the last one ever made in 2006.
Yeah.
And
now, Geoff, people would look at this and say it looks exactly like a DAF.
That's why they give over. They were virtually identical, so it was a case of badge engineering, and DAF finished with them and just went on to badge them as DAFs.
Right, and this one you said has only 6 miles on it.
It's only about 8 miles on the clock, yeah.
From new, guys.
Yeah, from new, yeah. Yeah.
And we have another ERF here.
Yes, this one has a Rolls-Royce engine in. This was one of 2 built for the British nuclear fuels for transporting flasks of uranium or plutonium or whatever. This is plated at over 70 tons, so this is another unique, because the other one that was built was written off in an accident, and that was that. So that's
Geoff,
the only one left.
Just this prototype here, this is an old Leyland Prototype.
Yeah, that was built in 1984.
1984.
That appeared on Tomorrow's World, full of electronic gizmos and future technology.
Let's have a quick look inside this.
Sliding doors, so it made it easier opening in a tight space. Electric mirrors, computer inside, automatic gearbox, just press a button to go up and down. Aluminium chassis, too good for its own good, really. But they did learn a lot from the technology of it. Yeah.
It's kind of, oh, look at the window out the front.
Yes, yeah. And
good visibility out through that. But that's fascinating to see all these vehicles here now. We'll just walk around here, Geoff. And we've got an old bus here as well.
An old bus, this is Ribble, which were our local operators. This was built in the early 50s. Leyland chassis, Leyland Tiger Cub, again named after the cat family. We supplied the chassis, engine and gearbox. The bodies were built in Blackpool for this particular model. You could have the bodies built anywhere in Britain. Okay,
moving on from the bus, we have 2 more DAFs to show you, and then a very unusual one to finish.
Yes, so this is the Daf Hybrid Prototype that DAF let us have when they finished experimental. We think they didn't tell us how many they made, but we think they made about 60. They said it was commercially sensitive, so we didn't press it.
All right, okay, I get you.
And this is full electric, battery operated.
Oh yes, full electric DAF.
Yeah,
LF.
That had a range of about 220 kilometres.
Okay.
But they're waiting of battery technology to improve before they go any further.
Yeah, because they did have an all-electric rigid on display at a show recently as well.
Oh, they did. I don't know about that. Yeah.
So DAF are coming out with full electric trucks, Geoff.
Full electric trucks. This is the future.
Yes.
The future is electric.
So it all started from this one, guys. All the research.
Yeah.
And then we have this ambulance here.
Yeah, that's a been 1960s ambulance, Morris.
Yeah.
Not a lot left because they're all turned into camper vans and things like that. So yeah, they are getting quite rare on the ground.
And then we move on to the Leyland Constructor.
Yeah.
Look at this, guys.
This was built 1982 for the Port's visit. They built 2. Right. This is built on a standard chassis, armour plated, armoured glass, bulletproof, everything. The other one that was built is now in Southern Ireland, a big Catholic family in Southern Ireland. I'm not sure, but I think the name is Hanlon, and they have it. Right. So they have the other one.
Make a great camper van.
Well, it would be a bit expensive on juice. It would do probably 8 to the gallon.
Yeah.
16 gears. Right. Very fast getaway. There's all sorts of gizmos on it.
So Geoff, thank you so much for taking me around on this quick tour of the factory. There is more for people to see, but we've only just kind of given a quick tour around. But thank you very much, Geoff.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I was just going to say goodbye to Graham Lockwood. He looks after this museum as well.
Okay.
Graham,
great to
thank you very much. And they also have a very nice cafe as well in the museum. So if you want to come here, relax, and enjoy all these classic and vintage vehicles, you can do so. And you might even see Graham here, or Geoff.
Right.
Cheers, Graham. And look what we have here, look, a Morris Oxford from 1954. That is an ice cream van. So, God, you could spend an awful long time here, guys, looking at all these vehicles. But I just want to go back out here. I told you what year I was going to tell you this is. This is from 1954, the MAN diesel here, and it used to ship torpedoes for the Royal Navy. So I've been told. But there you have it, guys. And that was my tour of the British Commercial Vehicle Museum in the town of Leyland in the UK. Guys, if you're ever in that area, you need to call into this museum and just see the history that's in that building. They're all there, all the British built trucks. And you can sit down and relax and have a coffee there and just take your time going around. And the guys have so much knowledge on these trucks inside, on the original site of one of the Leyland factories from the 1930s. It's just, the history is great. You will learn a lot visiting that museum. So this is the truck I was driving earlier in the video. It's a 2018 Daf Xf with 460 horsepower. So it has a straight 6-cylinder diesel engine with 2,300 Newton meters of torque. So yeah, quite a good truck. Now this truck was revised in summer of 2017. There was a revision on this truck. So yeah, you've got the Traxxon gearbox. The gearbox in this is an AS-tronic gearbox. So yeah, the Traxxon gearbox is better. And of course they revised the rear axle as well, and also aerodynamic tweaks were done in 2017. But this truck was registered in 2018. So yeah, if you want a newly improved DAF, go for a newer one than this model. But this model is still performing quite well, and good miles per gallon from it as well. In around the 10 miles per gallon mark, maybe a bit over or under. It all depends what way it's driven, guys. That's the story with these trucks. Sometimes you get 9 miles per gallon, sometimes you get 10, 10 and a half. It all depends on the driver. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll chat to you all again next weekend for another video. So until then, take care and thanks for watching. Cheers! It looks quite nice, and God. Cheers! Oh, jeez. Great. No, we'll do that again. Okay, a couple of hoots of the air horn before we wrap up.